마치 멘트서 뜻이 쌓아 사실 그럼에도 형이
What is technology? Technology is just a new set of tools which are useful only if they add value to the learning experience. What is assessment? In education, the term assessment refers to the wide variety of methods or tools that educators use to evaluate, measure, and document the academic readiness, learning progress, skill acquisition, or educational needs of students. Assessment and its components. During an assessment, you may be confronted with different components. Most assessments are largely similar and consist of the same components. For example, an IQ and personality test will almost always be part of the assessments, as well as practical simulations. Test. The most important and most frequently used test in an assessment is an IQ test. Often, they take the form of a number of tests focusing, for example, on language, logical reasoning, arithmetic, and geometry. Practical simulations. A number of different practical simulations can be conducted. Typically, they stimulate situations you might find yourself in with performing your future job. In the case of an executive position, an assessment interview with an employee could be conducted. If the position entails regular presentation, chances are you will have to give a presentation during the assessment. Exercises and assignments. Different exercises and assignments can also be part of an assessment. Especially in selection assessments, you often will get an assignment that will show whenever you have the right qualities for the position. For example, the mailbox exercise. In this exercise, you sort a stack of received mail and as far as time permits deal with part of it. Fact-finding is another frequently used tool in an assessment. In this exercise, you have to find more information about a topic on which you are given only limited data. Interviews. An assessment interview can be compared to a job interview but often will deal more in depth with your personality and strengths and weaknesses. Now, what is the purpose of assessment? Technology can be used for instant assessment in many different ways, such as tracking student progress over time, perhaps even more compelling. However, EdTech can also be used to aid formative assessment, helping boost engagement, identify knowledge gaps, and support further, deeper learning. Here are just some of the ways that EdTech can be used to aid learning and assessment in the classroom. Number 1, increase flexibility. Number 2, improve feedback. And number 3, recognize and cater for differences. The challenges and opportunities of hybrid learning. Along with a variety of online resources to boost learning, there is a vast range of apps available to help teachers assess pupils depending on their personal interests, abilities, and goals. For example, the Class Dojo mobile app can be used to record student behavior and achievements in the context. ClassFlow can also be used to increase engagement and improve learning by setting different questions for different pupils or group of pupils, depending on their ability, learning style, or project. By assessing students in a manner appropriate to them, pupils are less likely to become frustrated and disengaged and more likely to succeed. Understand the importance of emotion. Every teacher knows that emotion has a huge impact on overall learning experience, but understanding the varying emotional needs of pupils can prove difficult. One way that technology is being used to help teachers consider the emotional impact of their learning activities, assessment, and teaching methods is Subtle Stone, a handheld to let students privately communicate their emotional state directly to the teacher. Facilitate learning. Students can also use audio and video tools to create podcasts and presentations reviewing their learning the term. In doing so, not only will pupils consolidate their learning in a medium that is familiar to them, but they will also produce a valuable learning resource for other students. In conclusion, with the current prevalence of remote learning and growing interest in e-assessment, most teachers have come to understand the benefits of technology for assessment. However, what is yet widely celebrated is that technology-enabled assessment can be used for more than just tracking result and discipline knowledge. By combining data with learning analytics, technology offers great promise in helping pupils learn through assessment. Book a demo to see these edtech benefits firsthand in transforming your teaching. For automated control and management.
TTL and assessment. Technology for teaching and learning, or TTL, is very important because we are now in a digital world where technology is everywhere. As a student and as a teacher, TTL will help us to be ready and to know how to use technology in education. And here are the importance of technology in education. Students demand it. Students are engaged with technology constantly outside the classroom, and learning through technology has become part of their lifestyle. New teachers are demanding it. For new teachers, technology is considered as a necessity for the learning environment since the technology movement has been implemented in post-secondary education. Kids are the digital native. Engaging with technology in the classroom has not only helped them learn, but they also acquire multitasking skills. There are also impacts of technology in students' learning. There are many positive and negative aspects of technology used in the classroom. Although looking through survey results, teachers did share more positive impacts of technology than negative. There were areas that teachers felt like they could use more support, but they felt that students' motivation and engagement were higher with the use of technology in the classroom. Educators also felt that students need more training with the provided technology to help promote more independence.
The next lessons that we have for today is all about domains of learning, wherein educators recognize that students learn in different ways, requiring them to establish teaching methods that emphasize each student's distinctive strength. So what would be the domains of learning means? It is the domains of learning are serious learning objectives created in 1956 by educational psychologist who is Dr. Benjamin Bloom. They involve three categories of education, and each one requires a different instruction style to achieve intended outcomes. So why domains of learning is important? Teaching students to think critically by using methods that make the most sense to them. They benefit students by teaching them various ways to approach new ideas and also concepts. So there are three types of learning domains. Under of it is cognitive domain, psychomotor domain, and affective domain. Under the cognitive domain, it is focuses on 6 intellectual skills that educational psychologists organize based on how they learn best. That would be Dr. Benjamin Bloom. Under the cognitive domain would be the knowledge, which is recalling and recognizing information, also application, selecting and using data, and other principles as well. Analysis is all about understanding, and next one will be conclusion. Conclusion is also instructional verb included: compare, contrast, and analyze. So next would be synthesis. It could be combining of ideas. The last one would be evaluation, which is making assessments based on established criteria. Next would be psychomotor domain, and it is a simple to complex or in order in 1970. Psychomotor domains have an areas of domain just like perceptions, wherein the student using sensory cues to guide their motor activities. Next would be guided response, wherein the student begin to learn complex skills. Next would be mechanism, wherein the student also develop basic proficiency when performing particular tasks. Next is complex overt response. What would be the meaning of this? The student develop their skills and can change to them to meet the specific requirements. The last one here under the psychomotor would be adaptation, wherein the student learn how to develop new skills. So the last one under the types of learning domains is an affective domain, wherein learning represents skills that foster appropriate emotional response. So under this affective domain, there are receiving, wherein the student passive awareness of emotion, controlling emotions. Next would be responding, wherein the students actively engage in learning process by receiving to it and reacting to it. Next would be valuing. Values concept when they express its worth or what it means to them. Next would be organizing. The organizing which develops a value system by arranging their values. The last one would be characterizing, wherein the students act according to the values they have developed.
How to assess students' learning and performance. Learning takes place in students' heads where it is invisible to others. This means that learning must be assessed through performance. What can students do with their learning? Assessing students' performance can involve assessments that are formal or informal, high or low stakes, anonymous or public, individual or collective. We provide suggestions and strategies for assessing students' learning and performance, as well as ways to clarify your expectations and performance criteria to students. First, creating assignments. Second, creating exams. Third, using classroom assessment techniques. Fourth, using concept maps. Fifth, using concept tests. Sixth, assessing group work. Seventh, creating and using rubrics.
Technique of assessment. What technique should be used to assess our students' learning? So, assessments may be carried out in many different ways, depending upon the depth of information and nature of what is being assessed. The assessment methods may be categorized in both direct and indirect. So under the direct assessment methods, we have portfolios, embedded assessments, capstones, experiences or senior projects, examination or standardized the externals to the courses, internships, and other field experiences. So under the indirect methods, we have surveys, exit interviews, and focus groups, inventories of syllabi and assignments,